All right, spring 2023 F24s. Some big changes to our F24 races this spring, and I think you guys will enjoy them. I'll step through, just like we did in the fall, a virtual team meeting that isn't a substitute, but is some of the information that we can quickly get through now in the driver's meeting to get out on the track with less mucking about. So that's it. There's me, Mike Breaky. There's my cool car. All right. If you haven't heard, maybe you haven't, the race this year is going to be out at Volkswagen. And that gives us a larger area than the kind of constrained spaces we've had at the Southern Belle and at UTC. Look, it was great. I mean, we had a place to race, but this is going to be even better. Let me start with the website and make another pitch for using this website to get information. If you have a question, you can always get in contact with Madison at Green Spaces, and she can get the question out to who needs to answer it. So don't be afraid to do that. But if you go to the Green Spaces website, right there, just Google Green Spaces Chattanooga, go to Programs, Chattanooga Green Prix. You'll see some updated pictures. Right, remember last fall we were kind of in the Halloween mode, so you got the skull car. The dates for the F24s this year, only the 25th, Saturday. There are no events on Friday for the F24s, and that's because of the schedule. The Volkswagen plant's operational through Friday, so we just don't have the room to do a test day as much as we want to. So that's just how it is. Advisor resources, that's your wealth of information. So if you click on that, you can see the F24s. A lot of the information's been updated, and some of this will be in the presentation, so you can pull it up and look at it again. A few things may change, very little I would hope, but there are some things like the supplementals that I'm working on right now. So the spring 2023, that will be replaced and you'll have the most current. Okay. Tech inspection checklist, you can see, has been updated. So a good thing to go through as a team to make sure your car's ready, operational, and help you breeze through tech inspection. All right. And we haven't changed. We will in the fall. We're going to leave the presentation rubric same as it ever was. And then if you scroll down a little bit further, there's 3 videos, 2 really apply to F24s, this basics of racing that quite a few people have watched based on the numbers. And then a video I put together on suspension, adjustment, what's good, what's bad. For the F24s, you guys don't care about this. We built a modification for the Goblin's roll bar because they were starting to crack because the metal is kind of flimsy. Okay, so again, lots of info, but always reach out if you have a question. So there's my website pitch. This should be, I always say that, this should be fairly quick because there's a lot to absorb, but not a lot to talk about. So first of all, how to get there. If you come in Bonnie Oaks, if you're familiar with Bonnie Oaks, the Readout Soccer complex is right here, and you turn on Volkswagen Drive. You go 3/4 of the way around the roundabout, exit on Discovery Drive, and then this is an access road that I don't think even has a name. It's more of a construction entry road. And then you come in and turn, and this area surrounded by this road is where we're going to have the Green Prix. We're going to block off traffic from the other direction so we don't have rogue cars entering. And, of course, if you're coming this way, you can come down Discovery Drive and follow it that way. Okay? Ignore some of this, right? This is going to be the parking area. And like we did in the fall, is we're going to try to allow, depending on space, one support vehicle for the team to actually park in the pits, and then everything else support vehicles over here. Okay, and if it doesn't work out that way, we'll put all the support vehicles as close as possible to the pit so you're not lugging back and forth, and then spectator parking will be out in the back 40 a little bit more, but it's really close, and this is supposed to be gravel at least at that point. I doubt they'll have the actual parking rows, but they're still working on it. The pits, this area does remain the same for the F24s. And then this little area was the Goblins, because we're doing them on Friday. and the plant's operational. So we only get that little slice. So if you pick up the green arrows, this was that access road coming in off Discovery Drive. Follow it around, and there'll be signs to bring you in, pull through, drop your stuff, and then cycle back around and park. All right, and we'll try to set up a similar flow as we did in the fall. It seemed to work pretty good. That first part's always kind of chaotic, but we'll get through it. This spectator section for the Goblins will probably be intact for the F-24 race, but we've actually got another area on the track where we're going to set up a spectator area. So without further ado, let's look at the actual course for the F-24s. All right. So to reorient your brain, that was your pit area as you were coming in, dropping your stuff, and then the parking area would be off stage left here, right? The basics of the track look just like this. So it's a classic no-kidding road course at this point, not just your oval track. So it's even more technical is the term than what we had at UTC last year. Certainly more technical than just the straight oval track at the Southern Belle down on Riverfront Parkway. And you can see it's a lot longer, 0.4 miles, and it may be just a tick over that even. And with the longer track, then we're going to have more corner stations. For the drivers, that means you've got to have your peripheral vision up and looking, not just at the nose of your car, because there's a lot more potential for issues to happen, and you want to see that yellow flag here before you get to a problem over here, right? Then the basics for pit in, as you finish the last corner really on the track here, you're going to pit in, and depending on what you're doing, if you've got a pit for a mechanical problem, you're going to roll back to your pits slowly, 2 pushers walking speed. If you're just doing a driver change, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, then you roll into this section. And for those that were with us in the fall, if you remember, we made the driver change area, we modified it so you just pulled in under the bridge. It was like a lane. And we're going to do kind of the same thing. So if you come into the driver change area, go ahead and pull all the way to the front of it if you're the first car. If there's a car already there affecting a driver change, go ahead and stop with enough room to get out and around you. We'll make it, you can see based on these parking spots, 2 to 3 parking spots wide, so there'll be plenty of room provided you've given yourself a little bit behind the car in front of you where you can get out and around them. Because we don't want to, if you make a fast pit stop, we don't want to slow you down by clogging up the driver change area. From there, or if you're in the pits working on the car, again, 2 pushers, walking speed to the point that you get to pit out. And we'll do it the same as always, right? We'll have somebody there, just double check all your safety equipment is hooked up. Try to look for a little bit of a spot in the traffic, but we're not going to delay you looking for that. So as you come out onto the track, out of the pit lane, really stay track, in this case, right, until you blend in with the flow of cars. You can see where start finish is. The timing trailer is going to be right in that area as well. And we will have another flag station here at start finish, right? So 0.4, and you can see the overall flow. It's, as the Brits would say, anti-clockwise. All right. What you don't see on this map, and what we found during a test on the cars to see how well the course worked, if it was safe but challenging, was that this parking lot, basically from pit out, certainly from start finish, has a long, steady, not huge, but a bit of a climb. And even all the way through and up toward turn 2, you're in a bit of a climb. So that's really working the motor and using the batteries a lot more than just a flat, short oval track like the Southern Belle. Now, there are some sections as you come back around that go downhill, and that may affect where you get off the gas, where you get on the brake to affect the corner. But what we found as well was because of the uphill portion, we were eating batteries at almost double the rate of what we've done in the past. So that's affected both the sequence of races and what we're going to allow for battery charging, right? To keep that, the battery charging piece, as level a playing field as possible. So again, these slides I'll send to Madison. She can post them on the website. But it gives you an idea of what's out there. And just FYI, these little kind of asterisk looking things are planters, tree areas, and then the X's are light poles. And you can see we've worked it well away from any of those. Like in this one, you're a little bit close, but you're actually in a turn that would push you away from the light post, and those will all be heavily defended by barriers. Okay, so that's it for the slides. Now what I do want to do, and I'll bring up the map one more time just so you guys can stare at it, is what did that do to our schedule? Okay, nope, yep. In some ways it simplified it, I suppose. You can see the beginnings of everything's on Saturday. Registration, and again, those aren't hard and fast. I know everybody wants to get in and get registered, but to try to break up the crush that we get at registration. So middle schools and then high schools, if you're there a little bit early, okay. If you end up getting there a little bit late, okay. We'll get you teched and get you out there. Tech opens. Once you're there, the course will be set up and open for walking. We may be tweaking a few things here and there, but the basic flow, and I highly, highly recommend either before tech, after tech, somewhere in that window of time in the morning that you get out there and walk the course and talk about the best lines through these corners, because it's not as simple as it was before, right? Presentations happen in your pit stall, kind of as ready. Same with tech. Once you guys are ready for tech, get it knocked out, get the presentation done, and now the time is yours up until the driver's meeting at 10:30. All right. Not, 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe to walk the course and really look at it and talk with your advisor and talk amongst the team. What do you think for an entry, for an exit? What's a good line through this tight corner, etc.? Okay. Pre-lunch, we're going to do the same kind of gig as we've done in the past, where we'll have a smaller 35 minutes, because honestly, the practice qualifying sessions, what I've seen is the last 10 minutes, there's almost nobody out on course. But you're going to want to use that and make some quick driver changes to get your drivers out and see the track, not from just walking, but from actually driving it. Okay, so you can see those times, and it'll just be an open track, come and go as you please, and we'll have the Barcom timing system running, where based on your best lap, that's how we're going to grid you for the races that come after lunch. Okay, lunch break, volunteers first. Now, if you look at this, you'll see what had to be changed, because during the test, we were starting to kill the batteries in these cars at about the 50-minute mark. So to say go out and do a 90-minute race and have all the cars die on track is pointless. So what we've done is we've divided it. You're still going to get 90 minutes. It's just going to be 45-minute races, 2 of them, to get you to the total of 90. So the middle school race 1, okay, minimum 1 pit stop. Remember, in the old format, 90 minutes, you had to do 2 pit stops. Now, because it's shorter, you still have to do 1. You can do more. You can get every person on the team out there to drive. That's up to the team itself, but a minimum of 1. Okay, that race will finish. We'll try to quickly turn, and as they're finishing up, get the high school race number 1 up on the pre-grid and ready to go, right? And then they'll go out and do their 45 minutes. Same rules, minimum 1 pit stop required. Then we'll cycle back, middle school race 2, high school race 2, and then at the end, help stack barriers, because we've got acres of barriers now. So it's going to be super important we get everything kind of piled up so we don't make Volkswagen mad, so we get back there again and again. And then, of course, awards. Now, notice what else has changed. Because of this, it seemed to me the best way to attack battery charging was to not attack it at all. And what I mean by that is teams have 3 sets of batteries, so swapping them around however you want to is approved. Now, what I would do personally is use my worst set probably for practice and qualifying, because let's be honest, even if you qualify 7th or 8th in a 45-minute race with a quick car and good driving, that's not going to matter. It's up to you how you do it. But I would say save my best pairs of batteries for the 2 race sessions. Just me. Do it how you want, right? I'm not telling you how to do it. So 3 sets of batteries, swapping after practice, between races, etc. is allowed. Now, we're going to keep the prohibition on swapping during the race. If you need to do that, come see me, come see Mr. Perry. and we'll decide what to do. But per the green power rules, changing batteries ends your lap counting. So that can affect your finishing order. So it may be better if the batteries are just starting to poop out a little bit to kind of limp that baby home for the last 2 laps than to come in and change batteries, if you follow me. Okay? Teams are also, our plan is to get that giant solar battery charger we had last year at UTC. They have other things they do, so it's not a guarantee that we'll get it, but we're working on that. If we don't, we'll have some batteries and a charging generators and a charging station available to the teams. Teams are also allowed to bring a generator if they want to, and use their charger that came with the kit to recharge their batteries. Okay, so I think that makes it clear and simple. Swap batteries as desired, keep batteries on chargers, move them around, do what you need to do with your batteries. Okay, and I would keep those best sets for the 2 races, because honestly, between the race number 1, race number 2, you're not going to get much of a charge into the 2 batteries you used in the first race. They'd freshen up a little bit, but probably not enough to be really good all the way to the end. And again, all this comes down to the fact that that slight uphill grade for a long period of time puts such a strain and demand on both the motor and the batteries that we just couldn't do the full 90 minutes. Okay? And there may be times where you want to conserve the battery a little bit. Well, the other thing we found, just FYI, not to go too deep off, was that you would think the uphill would be counteracted by the downhill. But it doesn't really work that way, because even on the downhill sections, you're probably on the gas at least a part of the time. So you're not making up what you've used going uphill, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's your schedule. Right? Fairly straightforward, fairly simple. This will probably generate some questions from folks, and that's fine. Madison can direct them to myself, to Mr. Perry. And we're doing a whole lot behind the scenes on batteries for future races. So just to let you guys know, we understand that the batteries are kind of the key, one of the keys to doing well in Green Prix races. And so we're looking at different styles of batteries, longer lasting batteries, more powerful, over the time frame batteries, etc. So once we do that, that'll be announced, and everybody out there will be on the same level. We're not going to give some teams, here's the really great batteries, and you guys still have to use these other ones. Okay? Let me look, make sure I haven't forgot any of my thoughts, notes, etc. Schedule. You will get an info packet, but there's not a lot in it really beyond this schedule, and that'll be posted on the website along with the SUPs. There's a bunch of other things on there about battery charging, battery maintenance, etc. Points will run just roughly 50 points presentation, 50 points for the winner of, and then a 5-point decrease race number 1, 50 points for the same in race number 2. So what you end up with is 2/3 racing, 1/3 presentation as far as points. And that's how we've done it for the past 2 years. So don't neglect your presentation. It's a big part of your score, but also understand we're here to race, so we want to make that a little more valuable. Okay. I think that's it. Well, one more. You guys have always done it this way. It's the goblins that are a little bit different. But just so you know, to start the race, there's not going to be any pushers. We've never had an issue with kind of the standing start in F24. So we're going to stick with that Formula One style, make sure everybody's power switches are on, the cars are ready, green flag, go from a standing start, and then have at it. Please, please understand, I'll mention this again in the driver's meeting, turn number 3, I think it is. If you consider this turn 1, turn 2, it's funny how people label it. That first lap, there's going to be quite a coagulation of cars. This is wide and smooth, but it'll pinch down a little bit here and certainly here. My advice to you, having just finished a 15-hour race last weekend, is there were cars crashing on the first lap of a 15-hour race because they didn't use good judgment. It's better to give up a little bit, make sure you safely get through the corner, and then now I've got 43 minutes still to go to make the pass. So what we don't want is a pile up on lap 1 here, because now we've wrecked 2 or 3 cars. You're done for that race. I don't, you can fix it in 5-10 minutes. It's not going to matter. You're not going to finish on the top 3 by doing that. Use good judgment. This is a very technical course, and it's a lot different than what we're used to. Okay? I'm looking forward to it, and good luck to you guys. I'll see you at the end of March.